Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. Today we're going to be checking out the patch notes for Season 1 of Black Ops 7 Zombies, including Astra Malorum, but also including a lot of changes to Ashes, obviously. So we'll start with the Maps tab here. Astra Malorum is the new round-based zombies map, no surprises, and they are adding Exit 115, that's the diner, as a survival map available at Season 1 launch. They've also made a bunch of changes to the Ashes of the Damned main quest Easter egg. So, the Ashes of the Damned boss battle in Cursed has been reverted to its original harder difficulty? Holy W! Wait, that's insane! Yes, good, amazing, wow. I just never expected them to do that. I thought that we were going to be stuck with the easy one forever. This is such a good middle ground. Using Cursed mode as the space for the hardcore player, while also allowing the sort of more standard player to have a more standard experience in standard mode. I'm honestly very, very chuffed with that. So W Treyarch, that's awesome. Addressed an issue where players may fall through the map if they dive at a certain location in Vatharian's Sepulchre. Addressed an issue where players could get stuck in the repair animation if Vatharian picked up Old Tessie while players were repairing it. Addressed an issue where Old Tessie could teleport out of Vatharian's Sepulchre during the fight. Players in other events will now be warped to a main quest step that requires all players after a 5-minute delay. Interesting. Interesting, okay. Addressed an issue where the light on the trap switch does not turn off after fully extracting the energy from the Aether generator during the Wonder Weapon quest in Vandorm Farm. Addressed an issue where the dining room skeleton's skull would not reset. Interesting, I've not had that one happen to me. Addressed an issue with collision near the film reel found outside the deck in Blackwater Lake, making it difficult to shoot. That has happened to me. W Treyarch. That is very much appreciated. Addressed an issue in which the main quest would not progress if the Widow's Lantern spores are spread on round 999. W Treyarch for fixing this. Now, there is also the crash that MC Zombie Slayer experienced, or not a crash, but the soft lock that he experienced when you're doing the Easter egg at high rounds. You can get stuck in Yuri's lab. It'd be great to see that added to a future patch note as something they have fixed. General. Addressed an issue with collision on a red truck in Vandorm Farm. Interesting. Addressed an issue where small areas in Order Graveyard and crashed rocket locations did not have player collision. Very strange. Addressed an issue with a mantle prompt not appearing correctly in Vandorm Farm. Okay. These are all such, like, specific things that I've actually not heard about a lot of these. Like, was this just meaning that you could just clip through walls somewhere or something? Closed an exploit spot in the second floor of the farmhouse in Vandorm Farm. No. No. No, the pile-up might finally be gone. The one that we've all been using, bro. I mean, it sounds like that's what's been changed there. Right? The second floor in the farmhouse. I don't think it could be around anywhere else. So that's very unfortunate. But also, the reason I made the video and titled it saying, do this before it gets patched, is because it was always going to get patched. So, like, it's fair enough. Adjusted the position of floating, overgrown horde husks. Okay. Another thing I'd like to see actually mentioned in these patch notes, and I don't know if you would put this in general, or if you'd put this in, like, maybe into, like, an Easter egg section, is the issue with the bottle. When you're doing the TED trial and you're getting the bottle, that bottle is so glitchy, man. But let's see if they maybe mention that lower down. So the position of overgrown horde husks floating. Addressed collision on the boathouse rafter in Blackwood Lake. Addressed an issue where players would take out-of-bounds damage when standing on a crate in Zarya Cosmodrome. Addressed an issue where players could take out-of-bounds damage when diving off the bridge toward the garage in Ashwood. Addressed an issue where the jump pad VFX would not clear if players died in the flight path. An issue with players not being able to mantle a section of the fence in Vandorm. If that's the far left side of the fence, I really like the fact that that's been changed. That's awesome, because that was really annoying. Addressed an issue with collision near the tool shed in Blackwater Lake, creating a safe spot. Okay. Weapons. Updated the Pack-a-Punch version of the arrow to fire grenade projectiles. Oh. Odd. Why are they making that change now? That's strange. Addressed an issue with the flatline equipped with Shockblade skin doing double damage to the pustules on the Aether generator. That's so funny. That's such a specific thing. Yeah, maybe the arrow's actually good now. Maybe. Although I doubt it. Addressed an issue where the base weapon name would still appear in the loot card after the weapon's upgraded at the Pack-a-Punch machine. Addressed an issue where wall buys were visible through the player's scope. Some scopes that were affected are the following. Addressed an issue where certain weapon attachments could glow brightly when standing near a light source. Adjusted the fire rate for the DS20 Mirage. What was happening there? Was the fire rate of the Mirage cooked somehow and I didn't realize? I've not experienced anything being wrong with it. That I can recall, at least. You really like the Mirage, smart guy? So yeah, I wonder what the change is there. Underbarrel launcher damage will now scale with weapon rarity and Pack-a-Punch upgrades rather than rounds. Okay. Mystery box. Items from the box will now drop on the ground when players melee the box. That's good. That's a really good change. That is a very positive quality of life change. The items can be picked up by anyone. Yep. I'm down for that. I'm super down for that. Modes. Survival. The Necrofluid Gauntlet can now be acquired from the mystery box in survival. At last, bro! I've seen it in the box so many times, I thought I was just hella unlucky. Okay. TED tasks are now enabled in survival. Chompy will now remain active in survival except for special rounds and during exfil. Okay. Cursed. Reduce the amount of essence earned from essence traps. Sorry. Oh my god, I'm having a stroke. Essence earned from trap kills in Cursed. Jesus. That's really unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. I was enjoying getting 50 points per kill on the Cursed traps. The fact that it's probably going down to like 10 now is very sad. I'm sad about that. I don't feel like that really needed to be changed, personally. Addressed an issue with players using a timeout gobblegum to unlock a relic portal. I told you guys that was going to get patched. I told you. So many people were telling me when I was doing my recording of all of the relics to get my Easter egg guide done. They were like, Milo, just use a timeout because you'll be able to use the timeout anytime. Like, it's going to be fine. They're never going to patch that. Boom. Boom. I knew that was going to get patched because it was just too easy. And as much as Treyarch does want you to use gobbles, it was just too easy. It was just too easy. So that makes sense. Closed an exploit that allowed players to spam interact on the phone. That's another one that I said. I told you guys this is going to get patched. I told you. Addressed an issue where the wine bottle for a particular relic could appear to float in the air. Yes! I hated that thing with all my heart. It ruined all my recordings. Every time I tried to record it for the guide. I can finally get a clean recording of it now. W. That's so good. Closed an exploit involving loading a solo save after round 60 to unlock a relic. Wow, they got that as well. Damn. That was like quite a niche thing. And the fact that they've nipped that one in the bud is like, okay, they're trying to make sure that you do those relics legit. All right. Added a playlist image for Cursed. Nice. Overall, I have to say on the Curse changes, I actually really like all of these. I think that's all super valid changes. So, like, low-key, I think it's kind of a W. Perks. Armor plates are now automatically equipped to your vest with Vulture Aid Armormatic if down a full plate or more. Yo! That is so good. That is so good. They've taken that augment from being something I would never, ever, ever equip in a million years to something I will actually consider now. 100%. That's so good. A fantastic change. Addressed an issue where Deadshot Daiquiri would not lock onto a zombie's head when aiming through certain doors. That's so funny. Closed an exploit with augments that returned all perks from Last Stand. Treyarch, I would have loved to have more detail on that. An exploit with augments that returned all perks from Last Stand. I'm just curious what that was. What does that mean? What do you mean, Kobe Bryant? Closed an exploit using PhD Flopper with Stuntman Minor Augment to reach high rounds rapidly. An exploit? What? Surely that wasn't an exploit. Wasn't that just how the augment was meant to work? Am I dumb? Can chat maybe jump in it? That, to me, was just you using the augment. I didn't think that was an exploit in any way, shape, or form. So, like, there's just a nerf hidden behind them calling it closing an exploit. I don't know. That's really weird. Updated Wisp T Fetcher augment description. Okay. Yeah, I'm so curious about that. Equipment. Addressed an issue where players would not be able to purchase Klaus from his call box after loading a save. I actually have had a viewer have that issue. He couldn't call in Klaus, and so he couldn't do the final step of the Easter egg, which sucks. So glad that that's fixed. Addressed an issue with a wall not having equipment collision in Zarya. Okay. An issue with Chompy sometimes not eating stickies. Great. An issue where players could teleport back to Vaethorian's Sepulchre with a Kaz after defeating it. Again, bro, I told you guys, I feel so vindicated right now. I told so many people that would come into my chat, yes, you can get back to the boss arena, but it's just a bug. It's gonna get patched. And people were like, no, it's an Easter egg step. Here we are. Hate to be the boogeyman, but yeah, it's just something that was the game not quite functioning as intended. Hunter bots will now be destroyed by the Shock Mimic's EMP Blast. L. That sucks ass. Support. Addressed an issue where the player's health bar would disappear when bleeding out and spectating another player activating Disciple Injection. Wow, so specific. Addressed an issue with players being able to place a sentry turret in the Vault of Flesh. Addressed an issue where the dog could obstruct the start of the RCXD race. Addressed an issue where the RCXD may be pushed forward at the start of the race. And an issue where the VFX for the Mangler cannon would disappear when swapping between first and third person. Cool. Fine, I suppose. Vehicles. Addressed an issue where Old Tessie could be used to break the pathing for Uber Klaus. Interesting. Adjusted the distance Klaus follows behind Old Tessie to avoid him clipping into the camera of the driver. Okay. Was this an oob, Kyo? Is this an oob that you're referring to? Addressed an issue where players could become invincible if they were kicked out as soon as the player teleported into Old Tessie. Oh, the bottom one. Okay, we'll get there. Adjusted the score event to match when killing zombies with the auto DG2 turret, fire, and when manned. Addressed an issue where long weapons would clip into Old Tessie. Added handbrake to Old Tessie HUD. That's so good. So many people didn't know that the handbrake existed because it wasn't on the HUD. Finally, it's there now. That's really good news. Addressed an issue where the incorrect button prompt would appear for the Abomination Beam when using driver control settings. And addressed an issue when exiting Old Tessie near map boundaries could create an exploit spot. So that's the oob that you could do where you would get out of Tessie. It's actually very similar to a Destiny oob where you are in a Sparrow and you butt the Sparrow up against the side of a wall. And then you exit the Sparrow on that side, and your player will clip through the wall. It's actually a really cool little exploit. Kind of sad to see that removed from the game here with Old Tessie. It's like a classic video game kind of oob. Low-key, I feel like they should have left that one in. It doesn't hurt anyone. It's just for fun. So, like, I don't know. Low-key, I think that one should have stayed. I think that's one of the first L's of this entire patch is this, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Power-ups. Addressed an issue where the timer from a power-ups would occasionally not appear. Thank God, because that was an issue in Black Ops 6 as well. And I'm sick of that happening in Black Ops 7. So W. Addressed an issue where the score event will be incorrect when players convert gobbles with double points active. Nice. Loot. Reduced drop. No, no, no. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Reduced drop rates for high-value items in early rounds from ether plants fertilized by toxic growth. Why? I feel like that was in line with the identity of the map. To me, it felt like the flow of the map really works when you use toxic growth in that manner. And all of the solo runs that I was doing the Easter egg and stuff like that were made a lot more enjoyable by the fact that you could do that. And like, granted, it's strong, but it's strong on a map that's a pain in the butt to play solo. So I would have liked to see that not happen. That said, we don't know how much they've reduced the drop rates. So you might still be able to get a purple wrench and a PAP 1 crystal, right? It also might be that you can still get those better items just like after round 8, after round 9, after round 10. So it'll take some testing. I don't want to overreact too much, but I really liked where this was personally. And I think that if they make it so it's like, yeah, like you're saying, Keo, blue wrench and PAP 1 before round 10, and then PAP 2 and purple from round 10 or from round 15 or something, then I get it. I understand it. But I still don't particularly like the change. At the end of the day, it's a PvE mode. It wasn't hurting anyone, in my opinion. But that's just me. Addressed an issue with the Aether canister ping not clearing after players picked up the item. Addressed an issue that prevented players from pinging the abomination carcass. Addressed an issue where the Aether canister could clip into players when being carried while climbing. Can we have also addressed an issue where the Aether canister will fall off your back when you do a combat roll and fall onto the roof in an awkward way and make it really difficult to grab it? Can we address that? Addressed an issue where players could receive 2 ray guns from an overgrown horde husk. That was an issue? Why are we saying that's an issue, bro? What? Treyarch, sometimes, guys, you need to look at something happening in the game and see it benefiting a player and see the smile that it puts on the player's face, and you need to say, that's not a bug, that's a feature. This was a free win. Literally, no one was having a problem with this. So why are we removing it? Like, I don't get it. The fireworks that would go off in your brain, the excitement that would happen when that actually took place, it's not like it happens every time. I've done so many solo runs of this full Easter egg at this point, and I don't think that happened to me a single time. Maybe once in my entire time playing. Maybe. But like, just, it's a PvE game. Can we patch it as such? Addressed an issue where the DG2 turret could respawn after loading a save. Enemies. Addressed an issue where certain zombies still appeared alive after being eliminated with a high contrast mode on. An issue with idle zombies in certain locations. Interesting. Addressed an issue with zombies clipping into the roof in McDougal's garage during a death scene. Addressed an issue with zombies going through an APC when attempting to climb on top of it. An issue where blood can be seen when shooting directly at a fallen hat from a zombie. That's funny. Addressed an issue with zombie animations not playing correctly when climbing. Addressed an issue with zombies getting stuck in a climbing animation loop in multiple locations. Oh, interesting. An issue where a Ravager's portal VFX were missing when spawning near a wall in Zarya. Vatharian's collision so that zombies will not go through it if thrown by a player using disciple injection. Wow, so specific. An issue where Vatharian would clip the ground when throwing old Tessie in the middle platform. An issue where the quest zombies in Exit 115 would hold up the round if they were the last zombies alive. Big. That's a W change. That's the issue that Lego tweeted about the other day, where if you turned one of the quest zombies it would just live forever and you wouldn't be able to go any further in your game. So this is a good change. Addressed an issue where the quest zombies in Exit 115 would not spawn after loading a solo save. Okay, good change. Addressed an issue with mimic items getting stuck on the doors in the diner. An issue where a zombie may get stuck out of bounds in Van Dorn. An issue where dead Ravagers still had glowing eyes. Okay, wow, there's so much in this patch. Addressed an issue with a TED task requiring zombie eliminations not tracking correctly in Zarya. Nice. An issue with a TED task requiring players to remain in a location not tracking correctly in Service Station Rooftop. Nice. Gobbles. When swapping gobble packs, the first 3 gobbles will swap one of the following conditions are met. The player uses a gum in any slot. The player takes a gum from the machine. 3 minutes of match time have passed. Okay. Addressed an issue where a special round would occur on the round after the player used the timeout gobble gum during a special round. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Addressed an issue where the progress from converting a gobble to essence would be saved on the slot with a new gobble gum. Okay. Challenges. Removed the daily challenge for killing specials. Okay. Sticky grenades and cluster grenades now count towards challenges that require lethal equipment. Good! As they should. UI. Loads of stuff here. The entity subtitles will no longer appear on screen if players have subtitles off. The text for certain intel descriptions has been adjusted. The drop Aether canister prompt no longer overlaps with subtitles. They've addressed an issue where the menu in the Wonder Fizz machine does not update immediately after buying a perk with Soda Fountain Gobblegum active. Good. An issue with power doors icons appearing again on the map after loading a save. Also, just on the Wonder Fizz real quick, maybe they'll get to this lower down. Treyarch, could you make a change to the game, which means that if I interact with a crafting bench, or I interact with a Wonder Fizz, all of the icons are on the screen the singular micro millisecond that I press the button to actually interact with it. I do not want to be sitting there waiting for any icons to pop in. And right now, I have that happen a fair amount where I open up the crafting bench and the bench menu itself takes a second to load. It sucks. It's a horrible experience. It feels dreadful. Could we just make it so that never happens? Surely there's a way with your texture streamer or whatever, you can just prioritize that more aggressively to make sure that specifically the crafting bench, that's where it happens the worst for me, those icons are always just front of the queue. Can we make that happen? Because it would save me. I've basically nearly died interacting with the crafting bench before because the damn thing just doesn't freaking work. It's like so sticky to interact with. It's horrible. Addressed an issue with pings not clearing from a door buy after purchasing. An issue where the spray prompt wouldn't clear immediately after spraying a plant. Okay, that's good, I think. I think that might also, though, mean that the multiple tap to interact thing that some people would do to get better rarity drops might have been patched, but we'll have to test it. Addressed an issue where the objective showed the incorrect step after failing to clear the pustules on the ether generator and loading a save. Quest objective HUD is now disabled when players are attempting the Xersa attack or Dempsey Easter eggs. Oh, interesting. An issue with the RCXD staying on screen if it explodes as soon as it's deployed. An issue with the flavorless gobblegum was missing its icon. An issue where the incorrect playlist type would appear in the scoreboard menu while in Cursed. Wonder weapons no longer appear locked in the mastery badge list. Corrected the number of chevrons that appear for ultra weapon rarity at the arsenal machine in Cursed. Addressed issues with unclear loadout restrictions in Cursed. An issue that was causing the XP reward to not display after picking up intel. Okay. Graphics. An issue with the garage lighting when driving toward Ashwood. The timing for the white flash once players complete the main quest defense event in Van Dorn Farm. Okay. An issue where players would briefly see Janus Towers Plaza when loading into Van Dorn Farm Survival. I've had that happen multiple times, actually. Weirdly, you can have the reverse happen, I'm pretty sure, as well. So this is just a weird loading bug that can happen in the game. Audio. Ammo drops now play sound effects when picked up. Okay, I'm fine with that. The freezer key now plays sound when picked up. I'm also super fine with that. That's cool. Added an announcer VO for when players earn an eternal perk. They're calling them eternal perks. Okay. Not perma perks. Interesting. I like the fact that there's going to be announcer VO for that. That's great. Addressed an issue where zombie sound effects could disappear for some time. I've had teammates that have had this problem. Can we be more specific, Treyarch? There's a bug where players can no longer hear the trap sound sometimes in co-op matches. And it means that you cannot time the end of a trap because the audio is gone. I don't know if that's the sound effects that you're talking about disappearing here, but I'd like some more specificity in the way you've written the patch note, and I'd also like to see that fixed if that's not yet fixed. Addressed multiple operator VO lines. There is also the issue, yeah, where you use a zipline and then the sound of the zipline, the zzzz, is there permanently. I would also like to see that fixed, please, Treyarch. Stability. A performance issue when destroying a Horde husk using the DG2, and various stability issues. Wow, so then it's DevOps off Arcade 4 stuff. I'm just going to scroll down these sort of a little bit by little bit. You can pause if you want to check those out. And that's the full zombies section. At the start of this, I was like, this is a W's only patch. This is like an insanely good patch. I'm actually crazy positive about this. By the end of it, that had been tempered a little bit. I think there's some stuff in there that I'm not so much of a fan of. But this is huge at the end of the day. And I think that the other changes that are sort of, in my opinion, slightly less good, pale in comparison to the fact that this change is there. However, we shouldn't have to be trading a good change for a bad change. And in reality, what this shows, the fact that they made it incredibly easy in solo, and co-op as well, in my opinion, but especially solo, and then they reverted, that's just a sign that they shouldn't have made the change the way they did in the first place, right? So, a better scenario would have been for there to never have been this problem originally, but I'll take it. I'm very happy that this is being reverted. It's so fun to do that Easter egg in its original difficulty. It's so fun. I think the only other comment I have about this patch overall is a message to Treyarch, and that's that we're nearly a month into the game, and I don't know if it's all that necessary to be making adjustments to the Ashes boss fight, or sorry, just generally the Ashes quest, and the Ashes map flow that are going to significantly change things like speedruns, significantly change things like how people interact with guides, significantly interact with their existing strategies the day before Astra. Like, had this patch come a week ago, I would have been a little bit more welcoming to some of these flow changes. Like, for example, if they'd nerfed the plants, right? If they'd nerfed the toxic growth on the plants like 10 days ago, I'd have been like, all right, they gave us a little bit of fun with it at launch, but it was not their intended strength, and so they're nerfing it on day 5 of the game being out, let's say. Like, I'd have been like, okay, fair enough, right? It's just that now, the game's been out for as long as it's been out, people have been doing the speed runs, the guides are out, like, I've got multiple videos saying, here's how you do the boss fight, post-patch, because it's been patched now, and so I was like, yeah, they've patched it, so they're not going to unpatch it, and now we're 50% unpatching it. And, like, granted, that's like, oh, yada, 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 like, YouTuber problems, but it interferes with the understanding that people have of the map itself, aside from my guides as well. Like, they might have watched a guide of mine 2 weeks ago, and they might have then been like, okay, this is how the boss fight's going to work. And then they might have jumped into the game a week ago, and the boss fight worked differently, and they might have been confused. And now they're going to jump into the game a week from now, and it's going to work differently again. I don't know if messing with the player in that way is good. I think that at some point, you just sort of got to say, yeah, the plants are strong, but that's now part of the DNA of the map. In my opinion, that's something that they should sort of consider. I know it's weird because we've got a DLC 1 map so soon, so maybe that's the reasoning for it, is that in another world, that DLC 1 map is coming out a month from now, and then this patch doesn't feel as destructive, I guess, to some of those things. The culture of a map. But yeah, to me, there's some stuff in here that's like a little bit weirdly unnecessary to nerf in a PvE game mode. Let people have fun. And like double ray guns from a Horde Husk is just fun. That's just fun. You're just nerfing fun by getting rid of that. Like, it didn't need to happen. But there is a lot of good in this patch as well that I'm excited about. So, sort of a mixed bag, but definitely skewed fairly strongly, I'd say, towards the positive, just with a few caveats. Thank you for watching the video. I'll obviously be streaming Astra on launch, so I look forward to seeing you there on Twitch and YouTube. Bye for now. Laters.